to another episode of In the Studio. The program is brought to you by Davis Media Access and broadcasts on Davis Community Television. It's that is Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Uverse Menu 99. We're also online at dctv.davismedia.org, and we podcast all of our shows. Tonight we're going to talk about yet another initiative coming out of the Yolo County District Attorney Office, and that is the Multicultural Community Council. And joining me here tonight to talk about this are three distinguished guests, and I will start with Jeff Reisig. He is the Yolo County District Attorney, and he is the one who started this initiative together with your team, I'm sure. Yes. And then we have Carlos Matos. He is the co-chair of the council, and he is a retired Yolo County employee, and he's also a resident of Davis. Yes. And we have Jesse Ortiz. He's also the other co-chair of the Multicultural Community Council. He is a professor at the Woodland Community College, and he is on the board of the Yolo County Education. And welcome, gentlemen, for being here with me today. The office of the Yolo County District Attorney is by no means new to these initiatives that are meant to bring together the community and the law, and in a sense provide communication and understanding and deliver the justice for everyone. Now, in previous episodes of In the Studios, we have hosted two other initiatives, very important initiatives. One is the Neighborhood Court, and the other one is the Citizens Academy. So if the viewers would like to go and log on to dctv.davismedia.org and see some of view these other programs, that would be very nice. So I'm asking myself, what is multiculturalism? What do we mean by this? It's one of those catchy phrases that over the months and the years have lost some of its context. So in order to perhaps introduce the topic in a humorous sort of way, I would like to show two cartoons that somehow demonstrate what one way of seeing multiculturalism. And this is, for example, it's say, Louis, your parents are coming from Venice, not Venus. And you see Louis dressed up as a Venus inhabitant. So that's one. The next one is also very interesting. It says, if I can read correctly, I'm made of body parts of 20 different men and women of various races and ethnicity. And so if you want someone who is a multicultural, multifaceted person, I'm your guy. So this is, again, a humorous way. Now, I'm going to start with some of the questions that I have for you, and I'll start with Jeff, because he's sitting next to me. Why did you start this Multicultural Community Council? Was there a need for it?
Yes. We'll start with just the observation, the facts that Yolo County is very diverse. And that's a good thing. We have both diverse cities between Davis and West Sacramento and Woodland and Winters and Esparto and Clarksburg, but our population is very diverse. And as the District Attorney's Office, we serve everybody. what we believed we could do better was communicate with that diverse population about what's going on in the criminal justice system, and also to listen to concerns that were coming out of those different segments of Yolo County that we don't hear from a lot, because there are a lot of diverse cultures in this county, and frankly some don't have as much comfort dealing with law enforcement and dealing with the DA as others do. And so this forum was, this Multicultural Community Council was really born from the idea that we could do a better job in communicating and listening with a diverse group of people in Yolo County.
Well, it sounds like a very good initiative, as I said. How long has it been in force?
So,
about 4 years, 3 years?
No, Dr. Ortiz is going to have to help me out here.
About a year and a half.
A year and a half, so it's very new. Did you have a template for this? Are other counties doing this too?
We did look at other counties, and
Yes.
Sacramento County has a program that's similar. Ours is a little different, but it started actually with conversations inside the DA's office, and then I approached Dr. Ortiz about the idea of helping us to start this organization, and I think he can tell you about his perspective on the need and how we that conversation grew into this.
So Jesse, what are your thoughts on this? Why did we start it, and did you start it rather, and is there a need?
Well, first of all, I didn't start it. It came from the district attorney's office, Jeff Reisig.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And I want to give credit where credit's due, that Jeff being the district attorney, it's very rare that you see county elected officials taking such a bold move to talk about inclusionary practices and understanding and acceptance. So I really give him credit for that. We went out and solicited and somewhat handpicked about 10 to 12 individuals countywide who were very active in their community, African American, Asians, Latinos. And one of the things that when bringing people together that have diverse views and opinions, they tend to be very strong opinions. And so that was a challenge in itself in terms, but it's good. It's good.
Of course,
and
yes.
That's what Jeff Reisig wanted, people that were strong, that would advocate and speak up. So that's how kind of we got started. And from there it's taken its own course. I think and I know the committee, the 12 of us would agree, there's still room for improvement, and we're growing as we go.
Of course,
Yeah.
and of course you grow as the community grows, and as you learn from the community, I suppose. Carlos, what do you do as a co-chair? I mean, how does this council manifest itself? In other words, do you have events or?
Yes, we do. We do have events. We have had events for all the different cultures. We had Native American, we had African American, we had a Muslim event where the community comes together to hear the perspective from those communities. Also, we have of course the Latinos. We had an event on that too. So we try to cover all the different cultures in the county. I came about this because I worked for the county as a mental health clinician for 33 years, and
Yes.
I started the counseling program at the jail and juvenile hall. So I became very aware of individuals that were involved, with Jeff and his office,
Yes.
and the problems that they experience, and that disparity. You go to the county jail and it looks like East LA. In some areas it looks like Watts. I mean, there's a lot disproportionate amount of Latinos and African Americans that get arrested and prosecuted through the county. So I've had problems because of my work dealing with individuals that would get arrested for the first time with small amounts of drugs, and then they would end up in prison for 2-3 years, and as a result basically ruin their lives. So I was very critical of that process, and Jesse asked me to be involved because of my strong opinions. And I have to say that before I left the county, my position at the county, I talked to Jeff about my concerns, and I found him to be extremely open, which was surprising because of his position of having to enforce the law. And since then, the legislature has changed. Now they no longer use the transportation, any small usable amount. Now it's in larger amounts, and so now first-time offenders don't end up in prison like they were before.
Yes, well, of course, it's been a national trend, and to have first offenders being locked up, and then it's very difficult for them to come out and cope with their environment as they come out of prison. So, so you're eminently qualified to be on the council. And it's wonderful because you've been with them, so that's great. I was thinking, what is the demographics in Yolo County? And I'll ask Jesse, perhaps. Is it really as diversified as Jeff has said, or?
I would say so. Yolo County somewhat mirrors California, but only in a slower pattern. We're about 52% people of color, or 52% non-white, with about 34% of that 52% being Latino. It's a growing population. When you look at a K-12 system in Yolo County, about 29,000 students, 55% of those students also are people of color, and so it's going to continue to grow here in Yolo County. I was looking at some data just the other day that indicated that by the year 2040, 42 or so, the largest ethnic group in Yolo County would be Latino, which is no surprise because again we're mirroring California.
Yes.
So
yes.
So it's pretty close to California.
So there is definitely a need, because what should perhaps be said, isn't it true that some of these ethnic minorities, majorities, whatever, are recent immigrants, or at least they haven't integrated in terms of the language and the customs of the United States. Isn't that true, perhaps? Or maybe not?
Recent immigrants, I guess that would have to be defined. If you look at the Mexican or Latino population, to some degree, one would say they never left. This has always been
Yes. Well, it's their country.
They've always been here. But I think in terms of some of the Asian population, some of the Russian, Ukraine, they're fairly recent in Yolo County. And again, it depends what part of Yolo County you're looking at.
Yes.
And by no means am I an expert on that, but
No.
I think that the demographics, if you just look at each city, they kind of represent a little bit more, a variety.
Yeah. Well, there is obviously, we've established there was a need. There is a need for this multicultural MCCC. But I have a question, and I'll ask all of you, and perhaps we'll start with Jeff. Sorry.
Okay.
Now, is it possible to distinguish the multicultural challenge, if you will, in terms of cultural, racial background, or is it all together? Is it a very subtle difference, but how do you handle these subtle differences?
Well, I think part of the benefit of this council has been that we've brought together a group of diverse people who are bringing different perspectives, and I think it's really important to point out that this is a group of very strong, strong-willed, strong opinions.
Yes.
And that's good because I certainly wasn't interested in having yes men or yes women sitting around a table talking with me.
Yeah.
We meet on a regular basis, and this diverse group of individuals come with their perspectives and their experience. And there are nuances in every culture which can become very relevant for the district attorney and for law enforcement.
Yes.
In the enforcement and how those individuals from that culture deal with law enforcement, how they want to participate in the court process. So what I would say is just in I'll say it's a short amount of time that the MCCC has been in existence, it's helped.
It's helped.
Because there have been issues where through the discussion, through the dialogue,
Yes.
We have learned in the DA's office about issues that have helped drive decisions.
Yes. Well, you mentioned a couple of times strong opinions, and I think Carlos has given me a bit of an example of one strong opinion. So that means that people who don't necessarily agree with you. Do you have an example of a strong opinion which you hadn't thought about it? You know, one aspect that has come to your attention but you didn't know about.
Well, there are many. What I would just say generally is that what we've agreed to is that there is no subject that is off limits when
Yes.
we convene in the MCC.
Yes.
There have been times where the criticism is very heavy and it's very
Yes.
direct and it stings. But the
Yeah.
rules of the game in the MCC are that that's okay. We're gonna share
Yes.
our opinions. And so, you know, with Carlos and I, we've had discussions for many years, even before his involvement in the MCCC, about drug offenses and how we treat drug offenders. And what I would say is that those discussions have helped me appreciate a different perspective, and it has helped develop some policy over the years
Yes.
that I think is more in line with what this community wants.
Yes, and that brings you bring up a very good point, because policies obviously make all the difference. But how many constraints do you have in terms of enforcing the law within, you know, a certain you know, you can't really are not totally free to enforce policies, are you? Or
Well, there's a certain amount
of freedom.
discretion within the district attorney's office on how we charge certain cases, what type of exposure, prison time or jail time we ask for.
Yes.
And so there's a tremendous amount of
Yes.
power that's involved in exercising that. And this group, you know, from my perspective, has been very valuable in helping to make, we're making better informed decisions.
Yes.
Especially dealing with other cultures.
Well, that's very reassuring, but I've digressed a little bit. So, specifically, can you give me an example of this subtle cultural, skin, race, background, culture, education? Do you treat them? Can you treat them in the same way?
Well, I think I would, and let me back up a little bit. We're the Multicultural Council, but I have to let you know, in terms of our mission and our purpose is to look at inclusionary practices, acceptance, which also includes the LGBT population, which we've talked
Yes.
about, and maybe looking forward to maybe have a forum on that. In terms of answering your question, I would say one thing that a large percentage, if not very, I'm going to say at least 65% of the people of color, of that 52% of the people of color in Yolo County, a very large percentage of the people have something very much in common. Mm-hmm. And that is that they're low income, mm-hmm. and they lack education.
Yes.
And anytime you have a group that has close to poverty status and not higher educational attainment or even high school diploma, you have a group that's disfranchised, which brings across a lot of social issues, which sometimes go into the cultural part of it. But that is one thing that is very common in terms of Yolo County with people of color. You asked for specifics. I think, nothing comes to mind specifically right now, but I could tell you from the Latino population, which is a growing population, the fastest growing population, it's sometimes misunderstood. Not all Latinos are Mexicans. Mm-hmm. There's Cubans, mm-hmm. and Nicaraguans, San Salvadorans, mm-hmm. And they're all different to some degree, and we're all the same to some degree.
Yes,
so
and I'm so grateful that you bring this up, because this was going to be my next question. You know, which ethnic group is the least understood? And maybe it's fair to say all of them. what is your take, Jesse?
Well, you know, that's a great question, because I'll go back and say that what's misunderstood is that our people of color are low-income people. I really believe that. That if I have higher status as a person of color, I tend to be not as misunderstood as someone who's low-income.
And
Though it does exist, people misunderstand.
Yeah. And why do you think this is so, Carlos?
Well,
that people of color are low-income people.
That's a complex issue. But,
Yeah,
you know, the great
is.
majority of Latinos that live in Yolo County are working in the fields, are working jobs in the factories.
Yes.
You know, they have less education,
Yes.
and unfortunately, with the criminal justice system, the less amount of resource you have, the worse it is for you. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the low-income Latinos that get arrested end up with the public defender. I call them the public pretenders, but they do a great job, but they're overwhelmed.
Yes.
And the dispense of justice is not equal. Mm-hmm. I have tons of examples. For example, one of my neighbors that I gotten to know, he's a young Latino man that at the age of 20 in 2010 was arrested for the first time ever with a small amount of cocaine. Well, he ended up spending 3 years in prison because of that transportation double mm-hmm. felony. And now he's out. He's been out for a year, and he hasn't been able to find a job. Mm-hmm. Thank God for his wife, and he lives in the public housing area. And if it wasn't for that, he'd be in real serious trouble. Mm-hmm. And he's really trying hard, and he is having a hard time finding a job. Now, an example recently in this community, a young man ended up beating up a gay Latino man almost to death. Mm. And before that, he had stabbed somebody in Dixon, in the next county, and that individual got 2 years of jail time, mm-hmm. which to me was an outrage. Mm-hmm. And the district attorney said that the family was okay with that, but if it would have been my son, mm-hmm. I would have been totally out of control. Yes. Because of the unfairness.
Well, these are very interesting examples, and I'm interested in finding out how they relate to the Multicultural Community Council, and namely, is there beyond communication and understanding and getting the law and the community together, do you think this council will have an impact in terms of how people are judged and convicted?
Well, it's an attempt.
It's an attempt.
It's an attempt. I think that...
Yeah. What about you, Jeff? What do you think?
I'd like to hear the rest of Carlos's answers.
What I got to give a lot of credit to Jeff is that he is attempting to bridge. He is attempting to learn. He listens, which a lot of politicians say they do, but they don't. He does really listen to other people. And sometimes, like he said, it's hard because we have such different, backgrounds and experiences.
Experiences, yes.
And sometimes it's really hard, but he is attempting to bridge that. And he knows that when you don't have proper representation, it's easier to get a conviction than somebody that has a top-notch lawyer. And that's the way the system works, and it's not very fair to the people that don't have the resources. Yes. And like Jesse was saying, a lot of Latinos and African Americans do not have the resources. So the criminal justice system is kind of unfair that way.
Yes.
If you have money, you can basically get yourself a good
justice. Lawyer.
Yes, absolutely.
Jeff, what is your take on this? That the council will really help in creating a fairer justice system?
Well, I think Carlos is right. I mean, this is our attempt to do it better.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the perfect solution. We're constantly, I think, improving and developing this idea.
It's a first step.
It is, and I'm not aware of many counties, district attorneys that have something like this. Our neighbor does, but statewide I'm not aware of this being a model that's replicated. But what I can say is that the communication, the dialogue that we're having, the avenues into the community so that people in the community who are aggrieved have an issue, they can call Dr. Ortiz, they can call Carlos, they can call one of the other council members, and they can bring that to the MCC and we can talk about it.
And that in itself is a wonderful thing.
It's a huge thing.
It's a huge thing.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Well, are you planning an event?
Yeah, we have a couple planned. Let me real quickly
Please,
piggyback on
please.
Jeff and Carlos
Yes.
because it's critical. On every agenda that we have, we meet monthly. There's an agenda item called "What's on Your Mind," and we spend at least 15 minutes in talking about it. Sometimes longer, that depends on the issue. And what's really neat about it, we have one common purpose when we're there. We want to understand each other's issues, and more important, the district attorney wants to understand what we got to say. And sometimes it's give and take, and sometimes we learn stuff that we weren't aware of. And it happens more than we thought it would happen.
Yes.
So I just wanted to put that out there, that from the internal perspective of the Multicultural Council, it does bring together a very active community participation from the group.
You're a microcosm of
Yes,
the Yolo County,
Yes.
and then you can solve some of these. Well, I can really say that I had no idea this was going on, and to me this is a fantastic initiative, and it needs to be continued, you know, and everybody should be aware of what is going on and be able, because you know, the judicial system is such a esoteric, you know, it's such a mysterious thing for a lot of people, and so this too helps with you know, trying to demystify that. Well, we're just about out of time. It's unbelievable how fast time goes. So if you could have one comment, maybe adjectives, you know, maybe 10 seconds each to describe this multicultural community council. You can start, or you can start, whoever, just words.
I would just say that coming together as a diverse group is the start of inclusionary and accepting each other.
And you, Carlos, can you think of something?
Yes, I'm hoping that it would grow, and it would continue to have the dialogue between the community and the district attorney, and they would continue to learn from each other. I think what Jess said, it was very very profound, is that we are also learning things that we were not aware of.
Yeah. And you, Jeff?
This is all about collaboration.
Wonderful. Well, our time is up. Thank you so much for coming to the studio. And Jesse Ortiz, Carlos Matos, and Jeff Reisig. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you all for watching. You've been watching in the studio. From all of us here at Davis Media Access, thank you so much, and see you next time.